Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. With family, faith, and freedom. This is a Special Curtis Report. Special Curtis Report. Truth that affects you right now.
Thanks for tuning into the Curtis Report. John Wiley Price. He's an unbelievable individual. And I mean unbelievable, not in the best sense. You know? Last year, two of his conspirators, they were co-conspirators, accepted plea agreements. Christian Campbell and Karen Manning, and I know Karen Manning, both accepted plea agreements. Both are headed or in federal prison. Both will roll over on you, John Wiley Price. It's coming, if they haven't already. And I have no inside information from the FBI. I have not spoken to any investigators on this case on the FBI. But I can tell you, you got a rocky road ahead, John Wiley Price, and eventually you're going to prison. But Christian Campbell and Karen Manning both have rolled over on you. And I'll tell you what, your other two co-conspirators, Daphne Fain, who I know Daphne, and Kathy Neely, and I think I've met her before. If they were smart, they'd do the same thing. You know, Daphne, if you were smart, you'd cut and run. Is what you should do. John Wiley Price has already got enough people in prison, and you're going to follow right along behind him. So you know the FBI's number. Call them and talk to them. Here's what's interesting about John Wiley Price. This pathetic man, in my opinion, in Dallas County. Did you know, and again, it's part of that badge that he wears. It's part of that black badge he wears with honor. Did you know that he and Kathy Neely ran, get this, again, this goes to what I said earlier about the black community and those two issues in the black community. Number one, they do not accept intellectual leadership. They will accept an individual who has no intellectual leadership. Well, we got some powerful leaders here. Some powerful leaders here in Dallas County. You know, John Lawson, who has run for a number of different offices, a black leader, lives in the black community. John Lawson, the great John Lawson, wonderful people in the black community. The great Stephen Broden, Pastor Broden, wonderful people in the black community. Intellectual, intelligent, powerful people with character and dignity. But no, we choose the hollow ones. Two things the black community consistently does. Number one, we choose people with no intellectual leadership. And number two, black people in the black community accept socially conditioned acceptance of low expectations. They have a policy of socially conditioned acceptance of low expectations in that community. And John Wiley Price plays upon it brilliantly. He plays upon it so brilliantly, and I want you to get this. Let me just make sure I get the name right here, and because I want you to understand this man and what he has done, you know. And before I get to some of the other more spirited things he's done, because he's got a history of violence too. But I'll make sure I get this right here on the name of the company that he once represented there. And while I'm looking for that name, here was the situation with that. John Wiley Price, with one of his co-conspirators, now a co-conspirator, opened up a consulting firm. And I want you to follow along with this. Opened up a consulting firm that would consult with businesses, not only in South Dallas, but across the country, would consult with businesses on how to deal with minority, black mainly, unrest. How to deal with black people confronting your business, a business. So his client was the business. He would deal with them, and to deal with them. You know what? Let me do this because I've got to get the name of this company, and I don't have it in my notes. But you know what? He would let me get this. Let me do it this way, because without question, I don't want to say the name wrong. I don't want to get sued for this business that he was in. He created a business that he would, he and Kathleen Neely, and I believe Daphne Fain was involved with that. They would go and counsel with the businesses. Get this. Counsel with the businesses. And not, now get this, black community, because this is the whole point. This is your savior. This is your black knight in shining armor coming to save you. But no, here's what's happening here. His business was not designed to help you with your legitimate protest of a company. He represented the company in an effort to stifle your concerns, your issues, and your protest. So basically, he'd go to the company and say, I'm black. I'm a member of this black community. You give me X amount of dollars, and I'll make sure we put this unrest to bed. Unbelievable. Now, there's two things that go with that. One thing is the obvious, which is if he is commissioned in a business, think about this. If he is commissioned in a business and his client is the business and his purpose is to end protest, end dissent from the black community toward that business, and he is a representative, duly elected representative in the ballot box from the same people who are protesting, where does his loyalties lie? With the people that are paying him off in the business, or those individuals in the black communities who may have a legitimate protest? That's number one. Number two, the other issue associated with this is, I wonder, wink, wink, hey, business, I don't know if I can get these black folks to stop protesting in front of your coffee shop here. Hold on a second, business. Pick up the other line. Hey, protesters out there, just keep on protesting for a little bit longer until I get this deal taken care of over here. Click. Hey, business. I tell you, what are we going to do about these protesters out here? We need a little bit more money to get this thing taken care of. Are you playing both sides? John Wiley Price taunts himself as a political activist of the people, a grassroots activist. Really? You're a grassroots activist who's working for a business, or did when you had your business, your PR business, representing a company, claiming to be a grassroots activist. Again, this goes back, and I'm still trying to look at the name of that business, but this goes back to the issues of the black community. This goes back to the black community being so socially conditioned to accept low expectations. This goes back to blacks in the black community willing to accept any leadership that promises them free stuff. Willing to accept any leadership that points the finger at somebody else as the problem instead of personal responsibility in the black community amongst ourselves. That's a willingness in the black community to accept non-intellectual leadership. Classic case in point. Here's another one for you there, black community, who's just reelected this man who's been indicted, a 109-page federal indictment, And by the way, taxpayers are paying for part of his defense. You know that, right? You know that, right? Dallas County, you do know that the taxpayers of Dallas County, and I'm a taxpayer, John Wiley, the taxpayers of Dallas County are paying partly for the defense of John Wiley Price. You know that, don't you? Unbelievable. We're paying for this man's defense. The arrogance of this man who sits on the commissioner's court every single day, continuing to do business, who sits on the commissioner's court every single day, proclaiming to be acting in the best interest of all of us, but particularly the black community that he serves. Really? Under 109-page federal indictments. It is a shame. It is a travesty. And, John Wiley Price is beyond shame. You know that. When you're that arrogant, you're well beyond shame. You have to be. Another example of John Wiley Price really screwing the black community that he is sworn to uphold and serve. Yeah. Did you know this? John Wiley Price, while on the commissioner's court, serving the commissioner, serving the folks right there in Dallas County. Had a few gas stations in Dallas County. You realize that, he has some gas stations here in South Dallas. Wonderful gas stations, presumably there. It's all a show with him. Again, showing, he's hiring people in the black community. No, he had those gas stations there for one purpose and one purpose only. It's called the Salvation Army. Let me explain. John Wiley Price, with his couple of gas stations and service stations there in South Dallas, had the contract. Get this. I want you to get this, folks. Had the contract that he personally secured with the Salvation Army to do their fuel, to gas up their vans and their trucks, and to repair their trucks. Well, you know what? That's all fine and dandy. Here's the problem with that. While on the commissioner's court, year after year after year, John Wiley Price pushed and voted for the city to help fund the Salvation Army to the sum of $30,000 to $40,000, $50,000 a year. Much of those funds ended right back up to his gas stations that he used to pump fuel into the Salvation Army trucks and to repair them. This is the travesty that is the black leadership in South Dallas. This is the sickness that is, in my opinion, John Wiley Price. Have you no shame, John Wiley Price? You have no shame whatsoever. We'll be back with more of the Curtis Report in just a moment.